All right, we're back with another episode. Head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com and thank all the sponsors. I want to take a minute and thank Gallo Technologies for the walls behind us, Rhino Metals for all the tables in the studio, of course, Blackwater Ammunition for keeping us fertile in ammo, Right On Optics, Galco Leather, Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. Special thanks to Manscaped. I got a special guest today. Oh, Volquartsen Firearms. Scotty, I'm sorry, but Volquartsen. Got a special guest today. She's training. Can't say, enough about this guest. She's done a little bit of everything, which I like, and she's on like a 10-city tour, so we were able to snatch her up. We got the one and only Emily Hayden.
Oh, that was epic. Thank you.
There we go.
I felt that.
So listen, what's with this 10-city tour you're doing?
All right, chill. It's more like 5 in the last week and a half, and I got
rock
some people to see. I'm very important. I have places to be, people to see.
Making moves.
Making money moves.
Making moves. So you're traveling around. You're kind of hitting all the circuit. What's it like COVID-wise? You just kind of getting out there and fucking around, or is, the restrictions, are you like, what is it? Like, are you on like a tour, or are you just hitting all the spots?
To be fully honest, I'm avoiding LA just a little bit because that's where I live, and it's very just not enjoyable for me.
Behind enemy lines.
Seriously. Yeah. So my family is from Texas, so I've been visiting them, and it's been great to stay with them. Texas is definitely a lot more chill. The energy's better. The restrictions aren't as bad there. I have access to everything that I need there. So it's been really comfortable. And then I decided to take advantage of this time and just travel to, experience some, things I wanted to experience, do something like this, take advantage of time to be able to do that, and really make use of this time. I made sure that at the beginning of this whole COVID thing that I was never going to use it as an excuse. I was going to use it as like my own personal boot camp of like, how can I get 1% better? So even when I think about the restrictions and the lockdown, I don't feel restricted by anything because it's always my choice. You know what I mean? It's my choice what I allow to restrict me. So I understand that, I could stay in California and be restricted by all the lockdowns and whatever, or I could just fly to another state that has a lot less restrictions and have a lot of fun. You're always like in control of the two options you have right in front of you. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's an amazing outlook. I just avoid people altogether and live a life of semi-seclusion.
I get it.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, listen, you are unique in that you've done probably everything you want to do in fitness, right?
Not yet.
Well, I'll get to that. But you've accomplished quite a bit in terms of training, and you've tried all kinds of training. And that's what interests me about you in so many ways, because you seem to want to be more capable at all things. Where does that come from, and where did that originate, and why now, and why?
That's such a good question. I remember ever since I was little, I just always wanted to be the best that I could possibly be.
1% better.
Literally, every single day, I always say, every single day I get 1% better. And sometimes, a lot of the time, it's more, but it's never less. Because it's always in my control. It's always something that I can control. I can always become better in my mindset, in my spirituality, in my training, in my relationships. There's always a 1% better, and I want it. And the reason why it's so important for me, and the reason why I live that so passionately, is because I've lost so many people in my life due to like tragic events or unexpected deaths or young deaths or children deaths or whatever it is. That it's like, I feel this immense responsibility to fully live out my life, because I think those people would have loved, like, if they had had one more chance to live their life, like, I've got to do it for them. I've got to do it because I woke up today, because I had the opportunity to wake up today. I'm doing everyone a disservice if I don't fully live up to that, if I don't fully pursue everything that I was meant to be. Because I really feel like every single person on this earth and everyone listening to this has such a unique contribution to society, and it's up to us to pursue that. I fully understand that people have freedom of choice, and some people pursue that for themselves. Some people pursue the highest, best version of themselves, and other people, they make that conscious choice not to. And that's okay too. I don't, condone anyone for doing it or not doing it, but for my personal choice and decision and the way I'm just hardwired, man, like I have to pursue that for myself. That's when I feel the most fulfilled. That's when I feel the happiest. That's when I feel like I'm living in my purpose. And I know that it's a part of what I'm supposed to pass down to anyone that's open to it.
What is it about fitness people that have a fitness mindset that they want to have that pursuit? Like they want to be better all the time. It's almost like a vanity thing.
Okay.
That they have to be the best. And where does the line get drawn between being the best and being obnoxious about it?
I think it's the heart posture.
Right.
Here's the thing about fitness and especially competitions and why it can be so almost addicting, right? To go for that next
100%.
thing. For sure, addicting. Here's the thing though. It's because fitness and especially training in particular, it allows you this platform to process emotions and to process things that give you strength for the real world. So for example, if I'm going through something really, really difficult in life, but yet in the gym, I've practiced 35 freaking times in a row that I can get through the hardest set that I never thought that I could get through, that I can push through the rep that I thought I was going to fail on, and I got it and I overcame it anyways. If I can do that in the gym, I can do that in life. So for me, it's not just about the gym. It's not this vanity thing. This is such a deeper thing. It's like you're developing your character. Like every single time I'm training, I'm fully aware I'm developing my character in such a stronger way. So I'm sitting there and I'm on rep 10 and I feel like I can't get rep 11. It's not just about the workout. It's not just about how my shoulders feel, how my legs or glutes feel. It's doing this for such a bigger purpose. And like truthfully, it transpires into every aspect of my life.
What aspect have you surprisingly seen it trickle into and you're like, wow, you catch yourself almost, because I've had this happen to me. You catch yourself almost like, wow, I'm going hard in the paint and something I didn't think I would. And I find myself always constantly trying to refine, which is something you learn from the selfishness of fitness. You're constantly critiquing, you're constantly pulling apart, you're constantly looking, and there's a huge vanity to it and a huge selfishness to it. But it can be a good thing if channeled properly. Yeah,
I think that's key. I think you have to know what you're getting into, right? So you have to know that this can be a vanity thing. It can be super selfish. It can lead down. It could actually lead down a bad path if you don't have the right approach to it. So I think if you keep that approach of how am I going to allow this to make me better in every single way, in a way where I become a better contribution to society, to my family, to everyone around me, then I think that's like the winning, key.
It really is. And you have to kind of sometimes, you learn very early on, you can't put that on everybody.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has that, I guess you'd say like that mindset or that hard wiring is probably a better way to put it, where they want to constantly be better, but at the same time, they don't want someone to tell them that they have to.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think we, who are in fitness, it's really cool because we can sometimes just provide people a safe first step. Like it might start out as I want to lose some weight and look good in a bikini. That's it. And it's like, okay, well, go ahead and take that step. And when you're ready, there's another step, and you kind of just like really gently guide them along the way of their own journey. And I think that's important, is allowing and respecting people to go on their own journey.
I will say fitness is one of those cultures, only second to probably martial arts, that's so welcoming and so inviting. Very different than the gun industry, but so welcoming and so inviting in terms of like just the overall atmosphere. Like if you go to the gym, like you said, with the best intentions, like I just want to lose some weight, or I just want to get my diet right, like whatever the path is. And I always tell people, like, start small, like if it's one day a week that you can handle, do one day a week. So from that standpoint, it's very welcoming. And so martial arts are like that. People are just like, yeah, man, it's just happy to have you on the mat. Like,
I don't know, are you into martial arts?
I do jujitsu. I wouldn't say I was like into martial arts. I think I did know that actually. Yeah, I don't talk about it much, but I've done jujitsu for a while now, and
there's something really cool about that. So it's
like yoga with chokes.
It's so cool because it teaches you how to really be calm under pressure. And again, that is such an incredible characteristic and trait to develop and have, because think about, like, yes, you're doing it like on the mats, but think about in real life situations when something crazy happens and now you've already practiced multiple times staying calm and leaning into that pressure feeling.
Well,
Does that make sense?
jiu-jitsu is a weird one because it's the only martial art that you can constantly spar at full speed. Think about that. So whenever you're on the mats or you're grappling, because of the nature of it, everything's always tends to be full speed. Even though it starts, and this is an inside joke, with everybody being like, we're just going to go easy today, or we're just going to go light. But you're always going at full speed. So can you do that in boxing all the time, full speed? No. Can you do that in Muay Thai? No. Can you do that in judo? No. It's because of the toll it takes on your body. So it's very hard to operate at full speed in other martial arts. So yes, from that standpoint, the pressure is what you get used to. And you get kind of like your ass kicked for 4 or 5 years before you start to like figure it out. It's like It's at least 3 years of catching a beating, as I like to say,
right,
before you start to figure out, okay, like, wow, you know.
That's really humbling.
Everybody remembers the first time they tapped someone.
I didn't know you were supposed to tap. So I have this do not quit mentality.
Oh, you learn quick.
So, well, yeah, I started to pass out.
Mm-hmm. You learn quick. So.
And then I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to tap. I thought like.
Yeah, you learn real quick, especially here in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint of heart.
I mean, but here's the thing. I never done it before and no one told me, hey, you're going to need to tap. I just thought like, don't quit. I thought like, as long as I don't die, I'm good.
You got to get really used to failure. Really used to failure with jiu-jitsu for a long time, especially jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's one of those things, the fitness world, jiu-jitsu, being more capable. I had this talk with Rachel Balkovic, who's the hitting coach for the Yankees. You know, we were talking about this, and she's just like, I just want to be a more capable person. Like, I love trying different areas. And having fitness as a base, or nutrition as a base in your life, grants you so many other opportunities because you're in shape and you're able to do other things. Being a decent enough athlete opens up so many doors for you, whether you're on the range, whether you're playing basketball, anything you do, being at least in shape grants you the opportunity. Yeah,
it helps so much with everything. I mean, even down to being a parent and wanting to play with your kids, you know, being able to have that kind of capability. For example, so I did, Tony, Real World Tactical.
Never heard of him.
So he was just here like a week ago. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I went and took his survival course, which was absolutely amazing, by the way. And it was cool because of my fitness background and athletic background. Yeah, I wasn't the best shooter, but I wasn't dying. Like, I went through his workout that he was like, you'll want to quit, you'll be on your ass, that kind of thing. And yes, like, it was super hard, but like, I was okay and I could keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Tony's is a super rigorous course. He and I talk about that all the time. I've taken probably a half dozen of his classes, if not more.
Oh, wow. So you know.
But I've trained with anybody worth training out there in the universe through the years, you know, fortunately. But I collect pieces of paper, and like, that's kind of how I am. I'm like a box checker with that stuff. But I think that variety is the spice of life, and to your point, I like trying a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
I always joke, I'll try anything once and I'd rather be lucky than good. So I have a lot of fun with it. I'm kind of someone who just throws himself into the mix, and I laugh the whole way. You know,
oh, like, that's cool. Like, you have no problem sucking for the first time.
Oh, I love it. Tony, awesome. I'll tell you, I jump in the front of every drill. But I just like that kind of like thrown into the fire, and I always think that the guy who goes first gets the most grace.
True.
So I'm always like, I'll go first. I'm up.
You know what's funny? This is a very funny difference in our personalities. I would rather watch it a few times and have to see how I could improve, to see how I could be better, so that when I go, I have my best possible chance.
I set the bar real low.
Perfect. So I'll go after you.
My bar is incredibly low. My bar is like survival. But I liken myself to like a cockroach. When it happens, I'll be, I'll scatter. I'll be fine.
Right,
I'll hide in the weeds.
Right.
I'm the guy who's like, there'll be plenty of food around because I got all the guns.
So true.
I'll just go take the food.
That's so true. Me and my family have this thing where, like, okay, one of the first things that we're going to do if shit goes down, take over a Costco.
Yeah. That's actually not a bad. Didn't they do that in like The Fog or something? It was like in
one of the movies.
Yeah, it was like in a Stephen King movie. It was like The Fog. They were in like a mall or something. And I think the whole
that's
time,
the move though, right?
I think so. But the whole time I was thinking like, why don't they get more supplies in the stores?
Where would they get the supplies?
Like they were in a mall. So I'd be like raiding the stores for, I think it's The Fog, right? I think it's The Fog. It's The Fog or The Mist. It's like one of them. But like, the whole time I'm thinking of like a shopping spree in the store. I'm like, they need to get more like bows and arrows or something.
I love it.
I love that stuff. I
mean, I feel pretty safe in here actually, in this room particularly.
No, you'll be okay. We can shoot our way out.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's crazy because people come in here and some people will spend like 20 minutes looking at the gun wall. Some people spend no time looking at it. Some people, they just like want to take a picture in front of it. But sometimes I'm like, there's so much cool shit out there, and there's so much like, I want to put more cool shit up on the wall. I want to put more, selfishly, I want to have like skulls or something on there. I feel like we
Real
need
skulls?
more. Yeah, I feel like we need more.
Go there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Definitely.
Okay. The first time I shot a full automatic machine gun, like when you try something for the first time and you're like, oh shit, this is a part of my DNA.
Sure.
That's what it was like. It was amazing. Like I had to like get a feel for it. So like shot a little bit. I was like, oh fuck yes. And then I just like unloaded on it. And it was absolutely
full
amazing.
Auto, you have to have an unlimited ammo budget.
Right.
Because it can get addicting.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think people who own full autos are selfish with their ammo.
Really?
Selfishly. So full autos are like, they're like the best and worst thing in the world, because after you're done, you're like,
it's over.
How do I get that ammo back?
Oh.
Because ammo is like such a hard thing to get right now, and
it's
you
so
just
expensive.
rip through it so fast, and
Yeah. Oh yeah. I actually was shooting in Texas recently.
A sweet indulgence.
What is?
Full auto.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I was shooting in Texas, just a Glock 19, and I just wanted to like do some practicing, get some reps in. And man, it was so expensive. I was like, how much money did I just spend to shoot a few reps?
Oh, now with the cost of ammo, you're counting the rounds. I mean, it's crazy.
Like, you don't waste one single round.
No, not at all.
I like what you were saying though about like trying new things and like always putting yourself out there to do that.
Yeah, I think variety is the spice of life, and I think when you're open to saying like, I'll put myself in an uncomfortable position, and I'll try something I'm not used to, whether it's a cooking class, doing a puzzle, it doesn't matter what it is, reading a book if you've never really sat and read a book. It can be the most mundane thing. I think it can teach you a lot about yourself and give you some understanding of where you're at, maybe things you want to work on, things you want to get better at. I used to joke when playing football, I used to say, you learn a lot about yourself down in the mud,
That's
and
so true.
You kind of figure a lot of shit out. And, I used to always kind of say that. I used to say, I hate running, right? I hate calisthenics. So we used to do a ton of calisthenics when I was in the police academy, and we used to do these runs and do this stuff. And I'm like, you find a lot about yourself. You do like a lot of soul searching.
Yeah.
And you start to think of the things you're good at, the things you're weak at, the things you want to improve upon. And you just have this so much internal time. When you lift weights, you kind of don't get it the same. In jiu-jitsu, when you're rolling and you're training and you find yourself on the bottom all the time, you're doing a lot of soul searching of like, I got to get better at this. Like I'm getting my ass kicked, something's wrong. So you kind of, when you do that type of self searching, you find yourself kind of exploring things that you're weak at, and that's a good thing. And I think that if you try new things, and it can be the most mundane thing, it opens you up to that willingness to like at least understand. And I think first you need to seek to understand, then seek to be understood. So you have to understand the people you're with, or the people you spend time with, where they're coming from. What they're thinking, and that's what makes you a rational conversationalist, and that's what makes you a rational thinker.
I think that's huge, especially for communication these days. Like I always say, I wish that we as a community could just start to have better conversations. And I think what you're hitting on right now is something that's been at the forefront of my mind. Is I wish that when people spoke to each other, they had the heart posture of just seeking to understand, not seeking to spew facts left and right or spew their opinions or whatever, but seeking to really see where the person's really at and where they're coming from.
Well, it's Karen culture, Emily. That's what it is.
True.
And we're at an interesting time where Karen culture rules the world. It's kind of like, if I can't change your opinion right now and get you on my wavelength, I'm going to scream and shout.
What do you think can change that? What do you think is our answer to Karen culture?
So where this gets into a deeper talk of, identity politics and people, wanting to be heard, but never really seeking to understand what the climate is. So you get people that, want to just say, this is how it should be.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes the situation dictates that that's just not how it is. So I can't wave a wand.
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking about this earlier with Bobby. So you take like something like the Green New Deal, right? Or something like wanting all cars to run on corn on the cob.
Right. It comes from a good spot,
it's
right?
a great spot. Nobody disagrees with the message, right? So sometimes we say things like, I want world peace.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
But
I would love that.
Yeah.
If I could do that, I would do that in a heartbeat for everyone.
There's not a person that disagrees with the sentiment.
Right.
But there's a difference between sentiment and reality. When you go into a conversation, or it's like I say to friends, we'll argue all the time about, say, like LeBron or Kobe or Jordan or whatever. Sports are the easiest to draw the analogy. I'll say, let's have the debate, but we can only use facts.
Okay.
So you can't inject your emotion into it. You can't just say, well, LeBron's better because.
Right.
So the minute you start saying because or I think, you're eliminating a lot of fact from the equation. You have to say, well, this and this and this was accomplished, and this is where the conversation is. But
I love this because I think people are so emotional right now that's all these conversations are being online. This is all the content that's putting out there.
It's emotion.
It's emotion. And it's like, if we can separate the emotion with the facts and the truth and the reality, I think things would be a lot more clear for people.
Like in the Second Amendment debate, we get a lot of people that run around and say, shall not be infringed. That's everybody's favorite line. Shall not be infringed. Yeah. Well, the reality is the laws are set up this way. So when I talk to people, I'm like, I can't go to the table and say, shall not be infringed. That's not I can't make that argument. Like, for example, in national reciprocity, nobody wants national reciprocity more than me, meaning you get a permit in your state and you have it in every state. But the reality is, what's the trade-off going to be for that? Is it going to be having everybody take an NRA course, which I'm in giant favor of? Why? Because it puts money in the instructor's pockets. That's what I'm all about, is feeding the beast, giving something to the left, if you will, whatever. Oh, everyone has to take a class. Right. But at the same time, that puts money in Tony's pocket. That puts money in the...
And you're equipping all these people with amazing tools and knowledge.
So you can't just run around and say, shall not be infringed. That's my solution. That's not a solution. That's like saying, I'm going to run my car on corn on the cob.
Right.
Well, how?
Right.
Right. So you have to you can't go from A to C without going through B. So there has to be a path. I always say, what's the path? Tell me the path. And a lot of people lose sight of that. And I think when they debate or get into a conversation, call it an argument, whatever it is online, nobody wants to ever seek rational thought. I adhere to what I call a reasonableness standard. There's reasonable and there's unreasonable.
Okay. It's like a standard that you live through life by.
It's a standard I live by. I live by a couple of simple standards. One is expect nothing, blame no one, and do your job. The other is reasonable and unreasonable. If you present a reasonable argument, I'm more than always willing to listen. If it's unreasonable, I'm going to be like, that's not real. You can't just wave a wand and say, I want everybody to be in shape.
Right. So is that kind of just like you setting a healthy boundary for yourself in which conversations you're going to allow yourself to engage in? Or be emotionally invested in, kind of?
I never get too emotionally invested because I'm too sarcastic.
Okay.
So I'm too sarcastic to the point where, like, eventually if I see the conversation going south, I'm like, you're right, you win, I lose, fuck you, like, whatever, okay, you're nuts. But I always tell myself this in every conversation I have, and it's served me well in networking and in life, is everybody's somebody, just ask them.
Wow. Oh, wow.
So whenever I approach something, I'm like,
that's
all
huge.
Right, this person's obviously and I used to say this all the time when we would do trade shows, when I was in charge of companies and marketing departments and a CEO, I would say, just remember, when people come up to the booth, everybody's somebody, just ask them.
Imagine how many people are like kind of wishing that someone would ask.
You know, I mean, and that's the thing. You have to kind of, it's like in fitness, right? Everybody who comes up to the booth, they think they're king shit or whatever, you know, and I'm not talking about the people that, you know, wait in the lines. I'm talking about like people that maybe got a protein bar for free or something. Like everybody thinks they're somebody. So just give them a little bit of room. Let them, you know,
have them space to be themselves
and let them talk. And that's why I have such respect for some people, you know, like you take like the Mike O'Hearns of the world and even Dana and Rob, that they're in Jay, they're able to sit in these lines, and everybody who comes up, they're like, oh, you know, they're so gracious.
You know what?
I don't have that mechanism.
Mike O'Hearn, you don't have it. Mike O'Hearn actually made a really big impact on me. Mike's actually a very good personal friend of mine, him and Mona, but he made a really big impact on me. What's up, Mike? Shout out. He made a really big impact on me in Gold's Gym Venice, where we both trained. And I remember there's one time I was doing my cardio for my prep and I'm dying, you know, and I'm doing my cardio and I see him there early in the morning and I see like a few people come up and talk to him. And I intentionally was watching just because I was like, like this guy's been doing this for so freaking long.
100 years.
And I kid you not, he was making every single person feel so good and so special.
Oh yeah.
And like it made such a profound impact on me, because I'm like, he didn't allow himself to get tired. He didn't allow himself to get worn out, or to say I've been doing this for years, or to say, oh yeah, quick photo, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like he had such a humble attitude, and I think it really made a really big impact on me.
Mike has it down. Like the minute he leaves the door, leaves the house, closes the door, he's on.
Yeah, he makes people feel special, and he makes people feel heard and listens to them. And we've done like meetups together where, you know, he has guys in his line, I have, you know, mine and mine, and I would watch him and they would come up to him and he would not just sit there and be like, oh yeah, how great am I? Take photos of me. It was like, hey man, what are you doing for your training? Oh, you're just beginning? Let me talk to you about a chest workout, you know, like simple stuff. But like I don't know, the humanity of it all. Like he's able to stay so humble, and in such it's like he's
got the dogs everywhere with him.
Yeah, the dogs are amazing.
Mike is still our choice to be the new Mitch if Baywatch ever gets remade.
I know.
Really?
Yeah. He was in, so he's done the show, and I said to him, because you know Mike, he's always one step away from movie stardom, right?
For sure.
So I said to him, I go, I got the role for you. Baywatch. He'd be the new Mitch.
He could for
He'd
sure.
be fucking amazing at it.
He could for sure.
If you
Mona
recut
would need
the
to be
show
in it too, though.
today and put him into that slot, home run. I'd watch it every day.
100%.
Every day.
Who wouldn't want to watch it? We would need Mona in there at some point, you know?
Of course. She can be like a lieutenant or something.
Yeah.
100% Mitch. 100%. I mean, I think you'd have to change the name of it wouldn't be Mitch Buchanan anymore. You'd have to it'd have to be like,
what would his name be?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Donna D'Erico. I had her on. She could comment on it. Auntie Donna would know.
Okay.
But that ability to have that, like, see, I go into every situation with a different methodology. I don't think I'm going to meet 1,000 people and 1,000 people are going to leave like happy. I go into it expecting to upset at least 100.
Really?
At least 10%.
It's so funny and interesting how our minds think so differently going into situations. I like it. Like, I want to learn.
Because my thought process is simple. If I'm not upsetting you, or something I should say doesn't provoke you to think outside of your safety thought box, then I'm not doing my job of being a thought provoker, because I'm a progressive media person. In every company I've worked at, I've been a progressive in the firearms business, and I'm a forward thinker. And I've always said for a long time that you have, if you're going to be progressive in any way and you're going to think outside the box, take when fitness came into the shooting world, right? A lot of people are like, oh my God, you know, it's not the same dusty buckle and boot people. I can't believe this. What are these weightlifters doing, shooting guns? And how is this happening? And people are training and they're grappling and they're shooting. And this is like, oh my God. And every ranger is ready to light themselves on fire. And, you know, it's different. It's thought provoking, and it's going to upset some people.
I see.
But the reality is, the only way to move forward, to make an omelet, you're going to have to break some eggs.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So
I love omelets.
When I speak to, I don't think Jordan Peterson goes into a room and says everybody's going to leave happy.
Right.
I don't think Ben Shapiro goes into a room and says everybody's going to leave happy. But if you present the facts, and the facts are your foundation for what you're presenting, and you say, I agree with this, it shows you stand for something.
Absolutely. That's been something that's been huge in my life this year, because it's been, I've always stood for what I believed in, but this year, obviously, I've been really vocal and open about my core values and where I stand on certain issues. And because of that, I've been able to connect with people that I would have never connected with. And at the same time, I've received a lot of hate. I've received a lot of really hateful, horrible messages that no one should ever get. But within that, I've been able to connect with like-minded individuals who now I feel like I'll always have a friendship with.
Yeah, my theory is if you don't stand for something that's going to upset someone, you may as well go be a college professor at that point.
Yeah.
Because you may as well teach.
Right.
Because teachers want to please everybody.
Right.
Go teach. Go do something like that. Go into the pleasing business.
One of my very good friends and also mentor, and also we work together, Andy Frisella, he told me since day one, he was like, do not try to please everybody, especially being on social
Andy knows
media
how to
and
upset
having a
people.
platform. Oh yeah, he's like, master at it. But he understands that I think I had to go through, so it's a weird thing kind of like growing up on social media, right? From my early 20s to now almost being 30. And like, I've just learned a lot going through this in a public platform where like I do love people and like I want people to feel good. And so it was hard for me to start to accept the fact that people are going to hate me just for being me. People are going to hate the way that I talk, the way that I look. You know what I mean? Like some people just hate you because of the things that make you you. And that's not a reflection of you. It's a reflection of them. And so by being able to take on what he said of don't try to appease the masses, like be who you are, and those right people will come along to that and treat every person as if they're the only person, like one person at a time. And since I started doing that and having that kind of mentality, I feel that I'm not worried about social media. I'm not worried about a number. The number doesn't mean anything to me. What means most to me is connecting with that one individual, like a real connection.
Yeah, I mean, the problem today is, as I said earlier, with Karen culture and identity politics, is everybody wants you to conform and fit into a box.
Yeah.
And sometimes, very early on in my career, I dealt with a lot of kickback because, I'm in an industry. My industry is a little different than fitness, but similar, and you can relate in that it's all about how big your dick is and can you put it on the table. And when I try to explain to people, you don't understand, in the defense business, you're going to be surrounded by all different walks of life. And most of your key executives, whether they have a service background or not, they don't operate that well. That's like at the ground level. So you always deal with like what I call like the lower level politics of any situation. Then there's the mid levels, and then there's the higher levels. So in every situation that you go into, it's just like meeting people and interacting with people. You have to level up, right? And for some people, the stage gets too big, the lights get too bright. And the people that always revert back to a dick measuring contest, right? Or just like you said, are people, whether it's online or in life, they're lacking something, right? I've dealt with more people that hate and don't even know me, or I've never met them.
Wow.
And I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
And you're like, this person doesn't even know me. Is it even worth your time? And you have to start to think, like, when you're dying on your deathbed, would you want that time back that you spent arguing with that person?
Yeah,
so
that's huge.
A lot of times, like, whether it's Tony or certain people will call me and they'll be like, did you see what this person said? I'm like, no, I don't even read it. Or I lash back with some like inane, dumb comment. I'm like, is this even worth wasting your time arguing about? And it's crazy because in the firearms business, I've dealt with more owners and people that get so wrapped up in nonsense. And I'm like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like,
I tried to start creating some healthy boundaries for myself when the influx started to happen, because this year I really weeded out a lot of people. But within that weeding out process, it definitely started with the hate seemed like a lot for a while. Like it was really, really intense. So I had to tell myself, I'm not allowed to respond or give in to any of these negative comments or anything at all until I've responded and given attention to every single positive comment and interaction that I've gotten. And when I did that, I actually didn't have any time at all for the negative. And it really showed me how much more positive there actually is.
Yeah. It's funny because in our business, the lines are so clear. Like people will be like, I joke all the time. I say, you're not SWAT enough. You're not special forces enough. You're not ninja enough. You're not this enough. You're not that enough. And, people laugh because it's so true in our business, but that is such bottom level politics that it's like, it's not even funny. I want to just sometimes be like, are you making any money?
Yeah.
Like, is this even worth your time? Like, go play with your kids or something, like, but most of the time when people hate, we all know it's because they lack something inside of them. They look in a mirror and they feel like they're missing something. And I'm the first to say, if you're going to support people, support them. Like, be behind them or get the fuck out of their way.
Yeah.
Because it'll eliminate so many headaches in your life and it'll create a better, like, life force around you that you just got to be like, right on, man, and go, do you, enjoy. Like, I hope it pans out.
Freely allow people to come and go as they please kind of thing. Yeah. I think there's a lot of power in that. Yeah,
it's all the power in my opinion, but I go into situations a little different, expecting to upset some people. So I set my... That's
good. I think I'm taking notes from you right now. I'm like, I need to just be okay with that.
I set my bar incredibly low. And the reason for that is that's just a reality. You could be Tom Brady all the time on the microphone. Oh, shucks, gee willikers, we just, it rained today and we just had a bad game. And, people are still going to say, like, it's an act. He's fucking with you, and it's like, you're not going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
So growing up in New England, I took a page from Belichick and from Brady and those guys, the way they approached how they interacted with the public, and Mike and guys through the years that you just watch, and you do your best, right? But the reality is, I believe in having some strong opinions, and that might upset someone or that might send them into a riz, but you have to just be like, that's my opinion. That's how I feel. I'm not asking you to feel that way. I love you. Right?
Yeah. And I always think that, like I was talking about earlier, how every person has a different piece to contribute to the world. I feel that we have to be the fullest expression of ourselves. So in those moments of ever wanting to hold back or ever wanting to not say how we really feel or stand strong and like what is in our DNA, I always just ask myself, like, am I being the fullest expression of myself? And if I'm not, or if I'm wanting to hold back, then fuck it. And I got to like step forward into that. And I have to be that fullest expression. Like if I die tomorrow, I want to know that I live today the fullest version of myself.
Yeah. I mean, that's deep, but
I tend to do that. Sorry.
No, it's good. Putting it all out there is never easy.
Yeah.
And you brought up earlier being, in that fishbowl of social media at a relatively young age and going through that progression. Do you find yourself looking back on old posts and things and seeing how you've evolved as a person and your thought process and how you've approached things? Because I do.
Oh, 1,000%. Like the worst thing ever to me would be to look back and think that I'm the exact same. I really feel that we're here on earth to evolve. To evolve is to become the next best version of yourself. I mean, it's part of my brand. It was my first tattoo. I literally have it tattooed right here. Like, I believe in that so much. And like, if it's cool because if you look backwards through evolve, it says love. So I think we're supposed to evolve in love, and I think that love is like the most powerful thing in the entire world. And that's my heart posture. That's where I come from.
You should go back to that tattoo artist and get the love part in red.
Oh my God. That's the next step.
Mind blown right there.
Oh my God. There's tattoo artists in Vegas, right?
Yeah. Go now.
Oh my God. I might do that today. If I have time before my flight. You just blew my mind.
Blown.
But yeah, I look back on old posts and I will say the cool thing is, because sometimes I actually have done this where I go back and I'm like, you know what? I need to remember where I was at, and I can go back. And it's crazy because the character of who I am is the exact same. But I've grown so much as a person that the way I handle things, the way that I interact, the way that I deliver, it just continues to kind of be molded and shaped into I don't know, I guess just like a better version of myself, right?
You just got to be careful of the social media wars trying to erode your character. That's always the fear. Everybody always tries to tell you who you are.
Totally, yeah.
And that's always like the fear with getting too indulgent in social media is you start to buy into the bullshit in the Tower of Babel and the shit that you read. That's why, at this point I just post the show, a lot of it's like the show and then it's my my useless banter. But, you know, I let people just kind of whatever. But you have people out there that will influence you or attempt to influence you and tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And that's one of the downsides of social media. It can be a great platform, but if you buy into any of it at any point and start to listen to the people that don't, because people who really know you and love you, they're going to pick up the phone and call you. That's
So
what you got to
true.
remember.
Yeah.
You know, and everything, that's why I take everything on social media with like not a grain of salt, but almost like a degree of sarcasm.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't real life.
Totally. It's
just,
not real.
It's not real.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think to that point, you know, I moved from Texas to California. It's almost been, I think, 7 or 8 years now. And I'm actually moving back from California to Texas.
You should do Vegas.
Vegas. I
Split
know.
the difference.
I know. Vegas is actually a really cool spot, but here's the thing. My whole family's in Texas. And I have 6 siblings. I have 11 nieces and nephews. And I love my family more than anything in the world. And I didn't realize all these small little moments that I was missing out on until this past time during this whole COVID thing, where I decided to go live my life there and work and train and eat and sleep. But in between that, I was able to like stop by my sister's like on a random Tuesday night and see the kids laughing in the front yard and all these like little precious moments that I just didn't really realize that I was missing out on. But to kind of circle it back to what you were talking about earlier, I think there is a fear of me going out to California. For some people that knew me, they were worried that I would get influenced by California or that I would change who I was. And I actually see that happen a lot. I see people, you know, they change states or, you know, they like, for example, they go to California and they start to do the California thing and they lose themselves. Like they lose who they actually are because they allow their environment to impact where they go. Like kind of what you were saying, like the trajectory.
LA is a weird place.
It's a really weird place. It's really weird.
Place.
It's hard to be, it's hard. It's kind of been, especially this year, it's been really hard to be in that kind of place. You start to feel crazy. Like you start to feel like you're in this world where, you know, they're like 2 + 2 is 5. And you're like, it's fucking 4.
Yeah.
It's always been 4.
There's a lot of weird, well, first of all, you can't even operate a business in California. So that's, the taxes, everything,
Right.
you know, the property, it's just not a conducive place to do anything. So it makes it very difficult unless you've been there for 20 years and you're established and, you know, whatever. But yeah, I think if you're young enough, I think Texas, to an extent, Vegas, you know, I'm an East Coast guy till I die, but I mean, the reality is if I was to ever go back to the East Coast, it might have to be Florida in some capacity. I just hate the Miami traffic.
Yeah.
I hate getting around that area, even though I have such ties in it. You know, I like being here. It grew on me here. I like being here. It's funny because Jay said the same thing. He's like, I'll never go back. He's like, I love being here. But when you're from Boston and you're from New York or one of those areas, it's always in you. It's always a part of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
It's hard to let it go, but
do you have a lot of family back there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have family back there, but I don't go back. They're older and have kids,
Gotcha.
and they're in a different place. I haven't been back in probably 3 or 4 years, but
Okay.
I was just in DC, so that was, you know, a taste of the East Coast. It was nice to see trash in the street. And,
Really?
yeah.
You missed that?
Yeah.
Just gotta head on over to LA. You're a quick flight. You could have,
You know,
poop on the sidewalk.
It's nice to like sample it, you know, to see it.
Sample it.
Yeah, to get a sample. But yeah, it's totally different vibe out here and a totally different animal, and the cost of living is better. And
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, just every aspect, it's better. I wouldn't do Texas. I wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No.
Why?
DFW area is tough to get around. That's another one, like the traffic. I don't
Yeah.
want to deal with the traffic.
It is. Yeah, the traffic is bad. So Vegas traffic really isn't that bad compared to like Houston, Dallas.
I look at it
the
as
big cities.
there's none. I don't think there's any. Do we have any?
Do we have any? If you have to ask that question, the answer is no.
If you go out during certain times of the day, then there's none. But, you know, 3 o'clock on the 15 freeway, you might want to stay away.
Oh, horse shit compared to Miami or Boston.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
But nothing like
yeah,
LA,
there's none
No.
compared to those cities. I get that.
Like I don't think I've ever sat in traffic.
Right,
What
like
I
real
would-
traffic.
Yeah, I
Like
don't think so.
30 minutes for 5 miles kind of traffic.
Yeah, like no, I wouldn't say I have. Texas is great, and it offers all kinds of logistical advantages to train, to do any number of things. And there is a part of, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Texas through the years, so I like it there. I couldn't see myself laying down roots there. I mean, the food here is good because I'm a fat slob. I like to eat, so the food here is good. You know, you have enough of a city type life, but at the same time, you still have the ability, like, to go up to Montana or jump in your car and be in Salt Lake or
How
be
far
in
is
LA.
Montana from here?
You could do the ride in a day. I did it in like, I don't know, like 16, 17 hours in a car.
Wow.
And then flying, it's like 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours, I think.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I may have to take that flight.
Yeah, it's like $99 always on Frontier.
Wow, okay.
It's cheap.
Okay.
You know? And
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Montana because I see how beautiful it is and like the mountains and.
they're all getting corrupted now.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, because everyone from LA is moving there. It's all getting corrupted. The whole way you live life and do things in all these states is being corrupted by the people from California coming in. And what kills me is when these people move is they move to get away from it, but they still vote and do things the same. That's the most baffling thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all.
It makes no sense to me. We saw it happen in New Hampshire and Maine back home because New Hampshire was amazing and Maine was amazing. Now they're starting to flip Democrat because everybody from Massachusetts moves there to get away from Massachusetts, but they vote this.
You would think that they would have logical thinking of like, okay, I'm moving because life is unenjoyable. I don't enjoy it here. I don't like how things are run. So let me move and then let me vote differently in a way that is congruent with how I do want to live my life.
Why I'm moving in the first place.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And you know, I never quite understood it, and my path was a unique one because of how many moves I had, but I took a lot of chances in my career, which led to me doing a lot of these bounce around moves, which to be honest, you know, it worked out. I mean, I think it did. I mean, but I was fortunate. I never had kids. I was never in a position where I couldn't take a chance and take a job. So, you know, I was always in that position where I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. You know, why not?
Wow. So whenever you had an opportunity like that come in front of you, were you just so easily like, yes? Like, were you able to recognize it as like, this is that next thing?
So that's a tough one because my path, you know, after college, I went to UMass, then BU, and then Police Academy. After all those things, I started to get opportunities in the firearms business. And when I started to get those opportunities and they started to become really real, I had the opportunity to go to Montana and be a CEO. And once you get that opportunity, it's hard to say no when somebody wants to baptize you and give you the C title. You really can't say no to that, right? Yeah. So, you know, I took it. It was a chance. And, yeah, I can honestly say, like, I didn't flinch. And, you know, I had the opportunity to work for so many different brands in my business. And this is going back, like, I predate a lot of people because of my age. And when I came into the business, social media had just become a thing. So I was one of the originals, you know, starting a lot of the Instagram pages or being a part of a lot of the social media movement in the industry, that a lot of opportunities came my way. Now, there's certain scenarios that, yeah, I probably wouldn't bat an eyelash to go and take them. But now, as I've gotten older, they've narrowed. So I would say, like,
I see. Like what you'll take.
Yeah, as time's gone on, because I've kind of built my own universe. And in building my own universe, it's granted me freedom. And I don't necessarily want to give up that freedom.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You know, would you? You reach a point where I think as I've gotten older, I've narrowed those things down. But in the beginning, I was more or less like, let's take chances. Let me take a shot at this, or let me take a shot at that. So when I had the opportunity to go there, I did it. When I had the opportunity to go to Miami, I did it. When I had the opportunity to come here, I took it. To say, like, I dwelled on those decisions, the hardest part was moving.
Really?
You know, because you're constantly rebuilding a life. But
hard.
If my skill is networking people and everything else, you embrace
you're fine,
it. You're
no
fine.
matter where you're at.
You know, but I do kind of live like a monk in some ways.
What do you mean by that?
I'm very routine driven.
Okay.
You can literally hold your watch to what I do every day.
Wow. Well, technically you can with me too. I'm like, you know, wow. I'm like, actually.
But I'm very routine driven. Like, I'm driven by my routine. So, what motivates me and what keeps me on my path is like, I like to get up early in the morning. I like to train. I like to get in here, put in a day's work. I like to, get out and take my time when I want to take my time. I like to leave the office when I want to leave the office. I don't know. There are probably less people I could work for than there are even companies.
Okay.
So it's more the person now. So if I went into an interview, it's not like somebody would say, hey, John, you can come work for Nike. It's more who I'd be working for.
Gotcha.
At this point.
Okay.
And I think that's something that's changed and evolved the most in me.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I would be very concerned with who I'm going to answer to and what I'm going to be doing.
For sure.
So
you being that kind of personality that really thrives off of structure and routine, and I'm just so curious, did you ever go through a period, or maybe this is how you operate right now currently, I have no idea, where you feel like everything, you have to have something scheduled out like all the time, or like your days are back to back to back to back? Or do you allow like a pace or like a slowness in your schedule? Does that make sense?
I've learned as I've gotten older to allow for scale. Scale would be adjusting the pace and being a little more understanding of wiggle room and evolution and change. So I think, you're very rigid in your routines, especially like coming from the fitness background with that as your base. Mm-hmm. If you don't train, you feel off, right? Mm-hmm. But I've evolved in a way that I've learned that like, okay, I have to give myself some grace in my schedule and in the things I do and how I approach them, because I can't be so rigid that I miss opportunity.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so true.
So that's kind of one of the things I look for. Like, is this an opportunistic moment? Is this something that, I want to, pursue? Is this something that I can just let go by the boards? Is this something that I should, put this down to pick that up?
Wow. Yeah, that's huge. Because I think sometimes, life can get crazy and it's hard deciphering, should I make this decision? Should I make this jump? Should I go after this thing? Or should I stay in what I think ultimately just kind of feels safe, which is routine and is certainty and is what you already know. But I think that's it. I think it's going after that like potential of like, well, what could this be? Yeah.
Like me going to the gym now is very different than me going to the gym at 25 years old. Like it's more like now going to just stay in shape and stay, athletic and stay physically fit. And the approach is different because I can't do it like I did when I was 25.
Gotcha.
So your mindset has to evolve, and if you don't, and you don't allow yourself the grace to be like, I can't be a guy who's on a poster or on a wall or has that type of physique till I'm 75. It's not how my mind works. I get that there are freaks out there that like Mike's able to do it. Certain people are able to do it. Yeah. But I'm more concerned. I was always more concerned with one, being more functional, right? And second, being realistic about what my goals were. I didn't want that to be a life goal forever. Like I wanted it to kind of evolve and take shape and have kind of a mind of its own and be willing to be like, you know what? I want to do jujitsu. I want to do this, or I want to do that, whatever it is, right? And be open to that and let your body change, which always is a hard thing.
Very difficult.
Diet differently. Sometimes you just don't want to eat 7 meals a day.
Totally.
And you have to allow yourself a little bit of grace. And you do the same thing when it's having a conversation or learning from somebody like we talked about earlier. It's just giving yourself the room to kind of be like, okay, let me understand this viewpoint or that viewpoint, and being flexible. It's not necessarily about like changing your opinions on a whim or changing your anything on a whim, but I'm always an early up guy because I'm not good enough to sleep in.
What does that mean?
It means if I'm up early in the morning and I can gain an hour on somebody by being up early, it allows me to make mistakes and have time to recover.
Oh, wow.
So
it is really so funny, the difference between us. So I like to wake up early, but it's because I like to get ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I told you the bar's low. I build in the screw ups.
Honestly, it's smart because I feel like it allows you to embrace the screw ups when they come, knowing that that's fully a part of it.
Like anyone who knows me knows I like to train early. I like to get it out of the way.
Yeah, okay.
Before the problems of the day catch up with you. And, you're kind of like, my days of like going at 5 because that's when everybody goes and somebody's seeing me. And I want to be You know,
Oh, right, 5 p.m. is what you
I
mean.
need like be
That's
there for
definitely not the 5 a.m.
Be there for the show, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm at a point in life where like if I can see less people and I can deal with less headaches,
Yeah.
I do.
Same. So with me in the gym now, it's one of my biggest outlets. A lot of the time throughout the day, I am involved with so many people, in contact with so many people. I feel pulled in a lot of directions, that the gym truly is my space to go. And like, I can just finally like be still and be quiet. So yeah, I might be pushing some heavy ass weight, doing, you know, drop sets and pyramid sets and all this stuff that is congruent with my goals. And I love it. I'm kind of sick and twisted. I like that kind of like pain and challenge and discomfort. But it's also the one time of the day that I'm like, this is fully for me and for nobody else.
Yeah, I don't even train hard anymore. I don't. I'm ashamed of myself.
You don't have to.
No, I just.
It's your choice.
I go through the motions. I just kind of, you know, but I'm at a point where it's like, I see the comedy of it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's, yes, when you hit certain goals, you know, whether it's an amount of weight, something you're trying to hit, a rep count, whatever it is, a certain degree of physical fitness. But like I said in the beginning, I'm kind of a box checker. Like, some people can win one championship and that's enough for them. Some people need to win 10.
Yeah.
Neither mindset is wrong.
Yeah.
You're still a champion at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, for me, I've proved all I needed to prove in certain spaces to myself. And I felt like, you know, I didn't have any more worlds to conquer in those spaces. So that's why I asked you, like, do you have any more worlds to conquer in that space? And, you know, like when I was in fitness and I had the Gasp deal and I had the Blackstone deal and I had all these deals, you know, and I was literally on posters and stuff, and that was amazing. And it was a great opportunity. And, you know, I had proved what I needed to prove. I didn't need 10 years of it. I had proved that I could do it.
Wow.
Which to me was more than enough, you know? And, you know, there's an interesting speech, the Ron Howard movie, Rush, at the end of it, when he says, you know, he won one championship and he had proved all he needed to prove. Some people are that way. And
how do you think you'll know when you get there?
It's a fulfillment thing. I felt like I fulfilled what I needed to fulfill.
Okay.
So I'd rather go on to the next thing.
Totally.
So it's kind of like some people who, like, I notice a lot of people who race like Bajas and stuff. The next thing they get into is like flying planes. Like, people want to fly planes. After you fly planes for a while, maybe you want to get into the next thing. Maybe it's boats. Maybe it's this. It's always the next challenge, right?
Yeah.
But that's a good thing, is to constantly like challenge yourself, get the next permit or the next license or the next whatever.
100%.
Yeah. And
this is speaking to me a lot right now because, you know, I'm in the competing world. I'm an IFBB bikini pro, and I've been going after, you know, this one goal for, I guess, 7, almost 8 years now. And ever since I started back in 2013, I said that I wanted to one day be Miss Bikini Olympia, which is the best in the world that you can be. It's the #1 spot. And along my journey, I've had a lot of, obviously, like anything else you go through, ups and downs, but I've had moments of being like, maybe I'm done. Maybe that was a season and maybe I'm done. And I sat in those thoughts and emotions and what I was feeling, and kind of processed through them and walked through them to the other end of, for example, like I just recently went to one of the last pro shows that I went to, and I was an observer. I wasn't in the show this time, and I was watching, and I was just like, fuck, I'm not done. There's so much more that's still, it's like unfinished business. Does that make sense?
100%.
And so I understand what you're saying when it's like some people, they get the fulfillment, they get the championship, and then they move on. I feel that I'm okay with moving on. It's not this goal that I see as from here to this end point and that's it. That's not it for me. That's like a step that's almost like you're saying, like a check mark. And it's like a step. It's like a thing that I know I need to do, a thing that I know I can do. And once I do it, I'm ready to move on.
In many ways, that's kind of like Dana Lynn. I mean,
Really?
Dana to me retired early. You know, she stepped out, you know, at a time when a lot of people, I think, were probably surprised.
Yeah,
and people do that.
Yeah.
But she knew that she could accomplish more as her own business in her own space and doing it the way she wanted to do it without the stage.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same in so many ways with anything else. You just have to, knowing when it's your time is nobody knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people have a different mindset. Like for me, maybe the next thing for me is pursuing X, whatever X is, and maybe it's podcasting, but and I enjoy doing that because I like to have conversations, and I used to have these really cool conversations with people over the phone or whatever with these really cool, interesting people. And I'm like, I should record this shit. Like, it just like got to that point. Like I should just put a video or a microphone.
Yeah.
And, I did. And, here I am. And it's, you kind of constantly are tweaking and picking at and trying to find what's the best way to do things. And you go through the same thing, whether it's competing or anything else. I'm not someone who needs a million cups or trophies,
right?
To tell me like I'm good at something.
Right.
I know in my heart, like when I'm like, I've taken this as far as it can go.
Yes.
And I feel really good about it. And I feel like the next step for me is X. And for some people, maybe they want to say like, I need to win Olympia or I need to win the Arnold to feel that. I understand that. But for me, it was, I was never driven by something like that. It was more like somebody takes the time to invest in me, whether it's coming here for an hour and doing the show, whether it was sponsoring something or like, to me, because the way I grew up at a time when I grew up, I know like Gymshark and other things are bigger now. When I signed the Gasp deal, I was like, I made it. Like I was like, because I grew up with Gasp being like the brand, like to be a part of. And that was to me like I've conquered all. I had a clothing and supplement deal in the fitness world. I was like, I've conquered all I need to conquer. I have nothing to prove in this lifetime. I had reached a point where I was like, okay, that's fulfilling. Did that, box checked. What's the next thing? Maybe I want to continue to pursue a black belt. I don't know. Maybe I want to continue to pursue these things. But I like to think because of the choices I made, short of being at the table with an astronaut at dinner, I think I got a pretty good story. And I think I've met a lot of really cool people. Yeah. And I have the proof, which is worth more than anything to me. The video, the audio,
that's cool.
Like to me, that says it all. And to me, I get no better on the job training than getting to spend my time week in and week out interacting with cool people. There has not been a week that has gone by since I started the podcast that I have not had a guest.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
Every week I get a chance to spend an hour and a half with somebody learning and spending time with them. And having that opportunity or having that ability to have that opportunity is really something that's unique and something that's exciting. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, as a podcaster myself, I get it. I love doing interviews because it's almost a little selfish, right? Like we get to learn, we get to be with these incredible people and obviously bring that to our audience. But I think every person comes into our life to mold us and shape us in a certain type of way if we're open to it and we allow it. So I agree. I think it's a really cool, like fulfilling thing to be a part of.
Yeah, and you learn.
Yeah.
You learn. Every step of the way you learn. And when you have that opportunity to learn and to develop, people and you take in a piece of them. And I always say like the phones go away. You get to spend that 1 hour. The people that leave the show, I feel like I'm closer with them than a lot of people because I spent over an hour interacting with them uninterrupted, and how many times a month do you do that? How many times a year do you do that?
Even at like coffee with a friend, people always have their phones out. That's crazy. That's really cool. It's special. When you start
to think about it.
Yeah, that's really special. It's cool.
And when someone gives me their time, to me, that's like truly probably the best gift they could give you because you can't buy it back.
Absolutely not. And it's so precious and short.
Yeah. It's deep. Amazing. We went deep. So sooner or later you head back home.
Yes, eventually. I actually don't know when yet. I just have the next trip planned tonight.
And then you're going to go to Texas permanently.
And then I'm moving to Texas. I'm very excited.
I'll make my last pitch for Vegas, but
I'll come back and visit. It's been a good time here. It's been a really good time. I actually really enjoyed like training here, the sunsets. Everyone's awesome here. So I'll be back.
It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
It really is. And if you can't be in LA at like Gold's and that type of atmosphere, you're 4 hours away. It makes for some interesting times.
Oh yeah. Vegas is a very interesting, great time.
Where are you going to train next? Because I'm sure you got something on your mind.
Where am I going to train next as far as gym?
Gym, anything.
Well, obviously, if I go back to Houston, Texas, that's where Off Elite Gym is. It's one of my major brands that I work with. I've been with for quite a few years. There's also another really cool gym called Species Gym.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed training there. It's a kind of hardcore bodybuilder style gym. Yeah, I'm just trying to really right now at this moment convince all of my friends and my trainer to move with me. If I could just do that, that would be great. And I think I am making some progress on that goal. They're very open to it. But yeah, I just need to take everyone with me so that we can just recreate golds wherever I go.
Unbelievable.
I know. It's very selfish of me, huh?
That's a typical fitness, selfish
100%.
endeavor. But hey,
100%.
I mean, if they buy in, you could probably convince them better on the business side, taxes wise.
Oh, there's so many ways I can convince. I am very convincing.
I believe it.
Especially when it's people that I love who I want to be around me.
Yeah.
Like, here are all the reasons why you need to do this yesterday. And they're like,
Yesterday.
sold.
Sold. I don't know. What are we at for time, Rory? Oh, where does it go? It's crazy. I feel like we missed so many issues.
Did we? I feel like we covered so much.
Did we?
I don't know.
I don't know.
You tell me.
Yeah, I think we did. You're not going to Olympia?
No, not going to Olympia. I'm actually going to Oregon next for some hiking.
Wow.
It's actually
Need your life.
the second trip that I've taken this year for myself. The first one was, I think, on a random Thursday when LA was crazy and it was all starting to get to me. And I was like, I need to get out of here. It was one of those moments where I was like, I need to sit on top of the mountain by myself. And I didn't plan it. I just literally got my Frenchie, Vinny, who's my best friend in the entire world. I was like, Vinny, get in the car. Me and you, we're going to the top of a mountain and we're going to sit there and breathe.
Seriously.
And he was so down. So that was one trip. And then all my other trips are work related and it's all work and go and focus and whatever. And I've noticed that, for example, on Instagram, you can cultivate any sort of community or environment that you want. So I started looking at the things that light me up inside, which for me is beautiful nature. I'm talking some of the most beautiful places of Earth. I think that Earth is so magnificent and so beautiful, and I want to see as much of it as I possibly can. So this trip to Oregon is a little kind of out of character for me in the sense that I'm not doing it for work. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it so that I can sit on top of that mountain and just have the most amazing experience, maybe even cry because I'm so happy. And it's it's for me,
Well, you better like Earth because it's all we got.
I know.
So you better like it. But no, Oregon's a good spot. And then, you're right near Montana. You might
stop by. I could. You're convincing me. I could
go by Glacier. Go give it a visit.
That would be really cool.
You should. Well, listen. You got to promise me the next time you come through, you come on.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to do this again, or even just come hang out or eat some of your donuts you have over there.
Pink Box Donuts. They're actually Mike O'Hearn's favorite, so you can take a picture and send them to Mike.
Perfect.
Yeah, they're his favorite. Listen, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time. I don't want to keep you. I know you're time sensitive. You have to jump on a plane.
I do, yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being here, and I feel honored that you asked me to be here.
Of course. We're going to sign out, but first the sponsors, head over to www.johnbartoloshow.com. We'll put all Emily's links down below. Go check her out. Leave reviews if you haven't. Thank you to Gallo Tech, Rhino Metals, Blackwater Ammunition, Right On Optics, Full Quartz and Firearms, Galco Leather Holsters, Manscaped, and Enforce Weapon Lights. I think I got them all. We're out.